Still no clue why it says disco, but we finally got the countdown graphic to work. The thing is, I think Steve's left it in there because it's funny, and it is. So we're going to go with disco. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the rundown for week 2 of the Uniball season. And obviously you can see we have brought in our special agent from Qatar. He has managed to find the time to join us here to discuss some Uniball. Jamie is back and he's ready to...
Asia correspondent.
He's ready to, takes
I'm
varying...
I'm taking a new approach this year. I'm a mellowed out guy. There's no hate from my side. I'm not going there unless someone mentions Edinburgh Napier Nights, but don't go there.
We'll discuss Edinburgh Napier Nights in a bit because that's too funny. And you know what you did Edinburgh Napier Nights. So obviously this week, pretty quiet week. Not much happened. There were some scores, but not really that much happened in Uniball this week. We're going to go down some of the scores and obviously discuss the things that may or may not have happened. Simple as that. We're going to start off with the classic of going through the scores of this week, and then we'll discuss all of them. So
from the Prem North.
Starting from the Prem North, not any other division. So
the highest tier of Uniball, the Prem North.
So the Liverpool Raptors fall to the NTU Renegades 24-6. The Leeds Griffins shut out Newcastle 22-0. The SGS Pride beat Portsmouth Destroyers 21-6. And that's it for the... okay, so let me ask you, what are we calling it? Premiership and then National? Because National Premiership... Yes. Okay, fine. Because it's throwing me off slightly. So in the Scottish one...
Why didn't they go with Super League? Yeah.
It's only Super Rugby. It's only rugby that are allowed that title, I guess.
It is strange because obviously it's technically 3 divisions of Premiership football, but
it's Div 1's now Div 2, and that makes me upset.
Well, I'm just going to call it national and Premiership, right? Because I think that there's a lot less stress. Okay, so into the Scottish one, the Napier Knights beat the Aberdeen Bulls 48-0. The Edinburgh Mavericks beat the Glasgow Uni Tigers 12-0. Heard about an injury in that game. Hopefully that person is doing okay. From Dylan, obviously. The LJMU Fury fall to the Manchester Metropolitan Eagles 8-0. The UClan Rams put on an absolutely dominating performance against the Tyrants, 50-14. The Hull Sharks get shut out by the Sheffield Hallam Warriors, and the Nottingham Green beat the Leicester Longhorns in their Div 1 debut. Into the Southern one, the Brighton Panthers outlast the Reading Knights 6-2. The UEA Pirates the UEA Pirates lose to the Kent Falcons 14-8. The UCL Emperors beat the Essex Blades 22-12. In the Southwestern one, the Bournemouth Bobcats absolutely demolished Southampton 40-0. Moving on to D2, the Surrey Stingers absolutely smashed the Solent Redhawks 43-6. In a bit of a surprise, the UE Bullets 2s fall to the Plymouth Blitz 19-16. The Aberystwyth Taranai beat the Worcester Royals 14-3. The Kingston Cougars come out firing 22-0 over the Greenwich Mariners, and the Canterbury Christchurch Chargers put 6 on the QMBL Vipers, but they get 16. And we've forgotten a division. Let's go back up and talk about that division.
What shambles of a division.
So the Loughborough student, I'm just going to call them Loughborough. Loughborough beat Leeds Beckett 30-6. And, right, well, let's just
Could you imagine saying that a year ago?
Yeah. Well, I back Loughborough, unlike some people, SJ.
Yeah, I've made a big mistake, and I need to do a public apology at some point.
But let's sort of get into the last one here. And we'll dive straight into it. The Nottingham Gold 21, the UE Bullets 20. So,
right, moving on.
McRibs, no.
McRibs.
McRibs. Everyone hates McRibs. So the UE Bullets fall at home in the regular season for the first time since 2016. And when was their Leeds defeat? 2019.
2019.
Basically,
March 2019.
Basically, like the world has completely changed since the last time. The UE Bullets tasted loss in week 2 as well. it's a difficult one. But the questions are obviously going to be coming out. Everyone saw all of the memes that were coming out about it, which, are not much of a surprise that they were
Some
thrown
people have been
straight
sitting
out
on
there.
those for a very
Yes,
long time.
they certainly have. So what do you guys make of it? I was there in Hillside Gardens for that game. I know, SJ, you watched it, and Jamie, I'm unsure of your status of how much you know about it, but there you go.
I watched the second half and then refreshed by watching the highlights before the stream. So
Refreshed by watching the highlight. Good research.
there we go. I did more than Dylan used to do.
Exactly. I was about to say exactly that. So sort of the questions are now, are the Bullets still the Bullets?
I would say yes. Like, we see their QB1 went out at half time. The QB1 is huge. What is
He's
he's the biggest QB I've ever seen in Uniball.
6'6", and in that opening half when he was still there, he was absolutely trucking people. It was like spectacular to watch. But as much as it can be said that Donovanism did go out, the the Nottingham Gold, QB and receivers, that's a difficult, threatening group of people.
They're in the driving seat now. Obviously, it's only 1 point, so I think it's too early to say that Yui had been knocked off. If it had been a win, like the Loughborough win, probably having a different story. But with it being that close, I mean, for the end of the day, National League seems to be a great idea. We have to wait until March to see that, and we only get to see it once. We might see it 3 times this year.
It's it's an absolutely fantastic job.
To be fair, though, I don't think anyone can look at the teams and go, "Oh, they're the same team." They didn't concede a point last year, and they looked rather shaky in defense.
So the thing is, though, is that like if you even talk to the Bullets, they'll completely admit that last year was, this is one of the best teams that has ever competed in this country, let alone in Uniball. Like they knew what they had on their hands last year, and they know that like you can't have that same team come back. Like Jadron Clark, 2-time ELF championship game MVP. So, and also, and obviously the other players around him as well. So, I think what it presents is a very, very interesting narrative opportunity, because now we get to see, realistically now a hungry Yui Bullets, because now they feel like they've got a point to prove, or at least I assume that's what it is. And considering that their next game is against Leeds Beckett this Sunday.
Oh dear.
Like that could be, quite a. I wouldn't like to be on Leeds Beckett Carnegie. I'll put it to like that.
I think that's a fun day out.
I think we may potentially have it. Obviously, people were fun day out in the comments. I was like, I don't think Yui had a fun day out. Like, it's not that bad. I
think credit to Knots though. Like
100%
to go down to Yui, first game of the season, and come out with a win. That's fair play.
It was obviously absolutely immense. 2 failed 2-point conversions, also for the Bullets as well, which realistically did cost them in the long run. But if we sort of move on to this week and Nottingham's side of it, they take on the last team to beat them in the Durham Saints. Now that game is an interesting one because prior to this Yui Bullets Notts scoreline, the conversation was, are Notts the second or third best team in the country? Realistically, they've now beaten the Bullets. So it realistically is like Nottingham, as far as I'm concerned, they got the target on their backs. But Durham are there, and Durham proven that they can do it. Obviously, both teams are like have the new people in, reloading for the national premiership, but it's there for Durham to take.
I think having played last out of all 5 teams is a massive advantage in this division. Massive. Durham. I think the only downside is that the other teams will have had a very competitive game under their belt. So, but yeah, I think that would be a close one again. I think
it's gonna be a real interesting one, and I believe it is at Durham, so I'm not entirely sure if that game will be being shown anywhere.
So not sort of get the two probably hardest games out of the way.
Yeah, exactly. Like if they can beat Bullets and Durham back to back, then like I feel like the case is basically there for Nottingham going into. I know we're going into week 4. We're going into week 4 with those wins. It's tough to say that Nottingham Gold aren't the best team in the country. It's as simple as that. But realistically, we can talk about the rematch that is going to be coming at the end of the season. But at the end of the day, that's far and away down the line for the Gold and the Bullets.
What about the other end of the spectrum?
So, everyone's sort of known like the problems that Leeds Beckett were having last year, but it begs the question: like, have Loughborough, done well in recruiting?
It's an interesting one because I'm not going to try and justify picking Beckett, but what I will say is that I got told that Loughborough were looking okay, nothing. There's nothing spectacular has come in the sense of there's no imports or any of that kind of stuff. But it looks like Beckett have absolutely fallen off a cliff. Obviously it's national, but Loughborough finished 4th in the division last year in the north. So I think it's going to be very hard for me to say that it's not going to be Carnegie in that relegation game.
It's going to be an interesting one. Like I think Beckett are going to be slipping into that sort of zone as it stands right now, just due to it. But again, I think this was sort of expected that Beckett would be going into rebuild mode. But obviously they've gone into sort of rebuild mode at the highest level of the sport. So it's going to be difficult for them, sort of no matter what. Could we say that they'd struggle in the new Northern Prem? Well, we wouldn't know because they have to sort of. They're at the top of the ladder. They're at the top of the ladder. So
Loughborough number 1. Loughborough top of the league.
Yes, Loughborough are technically top of the league.
I've made a serious mistake.
Yes, you have done. I can't believe you did that. It was really quite funny.
My favourite comment to me was, "I thought you were deaf, not blind." So
unbelievable
that was I got grilled.
So if we're going to take ourselves out of the National Premiership for the time being, going down to the Prem South, SGS 21, Portsmouth 6. What does that tell you?
I should have.
The SJ's an idiot.
What?
The SJ's an idiot predicting Portsmouth again.
He didn't
predict Portsmouth.
He didn't.
Did you not?
Cam did.
Oh, yeah. Well, we don't talk about him. He goes to Lincoln.
Yeah, the SJ didn't pick Portsmouth. No, I like Portsmouth. I know I like you, but come on. But what does that tell you? Is that SGS are sort of not going to be the Bristol-based threat in the Prem North that sort of were able to take over from the Bullets, or are Portsmouth pretty good?
I think it's a bit of both. From what I heard, it was 7-6 at half time. I know that at least. And then, from what I got told, Portsmouth just got tired. That's what it was at the end. It was fitness. That third score came garbage time. So that is the closest. I think that's the closest win that that SGS have had since Brunel. I think.
Yeah, it is. I've gone back and checked it. I believe it's the same margin. It's 15. Is the margin for you as well? So it's the same scoreline that they had in 2021 when they were going for it. Also, I will say that as much as there's some weird comments coming in on the Facebook and YouTube, we are also looking at the Instagram comments as well. So we're not going to be ignoring you there. I think it's going to be an interesting one to see where Portsmouth go from here, to be honest, because I think I certainly got caught up in the fervour of the Cobras beating the Lions, and again we sort of have to now look at Portsmouth. They've got Exeter on Sunday. We've not yet seen Exeter. I know that me and SJ both picked Exeter to win, but we're sort of a bit shaky in that prediction now. So it's going to be interesting to see just how Portsmouth do against Exeter, and it's sort of a prove it game here for the Destroyers.
I think if Portsmouth win that, they're in a good spot, in a very good spot. Yes, they lost to SGS, but they could definitely take a lot out of that game, having it being as close as it was compared to last year. Because last year was an absolute demolition, wasn't it?
Yes, but I think it's 32-0 and then 48-0 were the two scores last year. So, as far as I'm concerned, 21-6, that's an improvement. I will say that the rankings will be coming out more than likely tomorrow, and there are some placements on there which people are not going to enjoy, and Portsmouth is one of them because I've put Portsmouth in the top 5. So if we're going to do a quick move on down sort of the D1 level, there are some scores that I want to highlight as well as one D2 score. Are Sheffield Hallam back?
No.
Okay.
Why not?
Just from what it was 8-0 going into the fourth quarter, or 6-0, I think. Did I say 6 or 8? I don't know, I can't remember. Either way, one score, and then from what I've been told, it was a capitulation from Hull being on their 4th string QB and having the worst recruitment in years, and it just being them handing them the game rather than the other way around.
How are they on their 4th string? Sorry, how are they on their 4th string already?
I think that's probably an exaggeration from one of their players. I'd say it's probably their 2nd. But
or does he play like a 4th string? Is that what I'm trying to say?
Well, yeah. Their American QB, he got injured quite early on, I think, and it all went downhill from there. The president, who claims he's the best player in the history of the world, decided to go on holiday the week of the first game of the season, which is despicable, and they know it's coming. But, I think that it was one of 2 winnable games, one of 2 winnable teams for them in that division, and they lost. So...
Are you daft? Hold on, sorry. I will say, guys, we are going to go back to the Prem North. That is my fault. It's just how I've got it written down. I had Hallam underneath that we are going to go back to the Prem North after this. Are you daft? You thought Sheffield Hallam was one of the winnable games for the Sharks?
Yep. I wouldn't have said I wouldn't have said they were going to win if I didn't think it, would I?
What's in the water in Qatar?
I was about to say there's something going on there.
Don't. I had some belief. I don't have a lot of belief anymore, but I did have some belief.
I can't believe that. I'm so happy Jamie's back because that take is awful. There's no way. There's no way. So going back to the Prem North, which is shaping up to be the division of Leeds, 44-0 against Newcastle. I think at the start of the season when I said, maybe Newcastle, maybe they're a bit of a dark horse here. Everyone thought that they were going to be, bad coming off that Premiership North season. But end of the day,
it's still pretty.
It's not looking good. It's not looking good for them. Only beating Liverpool by 1 score, and then getting demolished by the Griffins. As far as I'm concerned, the Griffins really are, completely legit. I'm happy, right once again, placing myself well and truly on the Leeds Griffins trains. And think about that, ladies and gentlemen, because we're trying to present a more professional show, there was another word that I would use to describe my affection for the Leeds Griffins, and we're going to go with getting on the Leeds Griffins train instead.
I probably very quick for me to say, give me that Leeds derby for the spot in the Super League, because as much as I think it'll be Carnegie that fills that spot in the Prem National, I don't think it's really strange looking at the Prem North, because respectfully it is Division 1 North that's been pulled up, so it's really difficult to compare it with the South, and until we've seen at least the first year of this new division against the South,
there's
no telling which one's stronger.
I think I completely agree. Like it seems to be that like Leeds very well could
That's not to
really
take away from
really
Leeds.
What?
That's not to take anything away from Leeds.
No. But I'm saying like if you look at it like Warwick, are seeming like they were the contenders. Obviously NTU picking up a win against Liverpool this week. They're going in to face Warwick this week, which that will be the game that we are live streaming this week. So it's going to be an interesting one. Like Warwick are a strong side. Leeds have already beaten them, but it's going to come down to that NTU Leeds game. And as it stands right now, I can't see anything that's telling me that Leeds Griffins aren't the team to be backing in the Premiership North. So we're going to move on. I'm not sure if anyone wants us to talk about anything. Oh, well, there is.
I've just been given an update to your comment of how does that happen to them being on their fourth string. Was actually unironically a third string SJU Muppet is the direct quote. So
I mean, I'll never get slapped up the way they have. So that's all I can say.
Just being the messenger.
So
on that so hard.
We will go down. We will talk. I will talk about Southwest too. I've got one on there. Northern One. What a great division. Let's be real right here. We're going to go with the more surprising one. Well, they're both surprised. We're going to go to MMU versus LJMU first. I don't think no one saw this coming. I think. Did you see it coming? Oh, you did see it coming. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah,
I didn't.
MMU.
And it wasn't a bold, like it wasn't just a random stab in the dark like my Div 2 predict. Like because LJMU were not a good team last year. They lost a lot of their players at the end of last year, and Worrell, who I think is their best player, has gone to MMU. So
right, okay. It's an interesting one. If we're looking at like the Chat GPT predictions, they said MMU are going to bounce back, and they've already done it here. We're going to do. I intend to do like some of the NFL style overreaction, not an overreaction. And for me, one of them is going to be our LJMU looking, a bit relegation-y. I know it's only week 2, but that's the point of overreaction, not overreaction. But the thing is, though, like it was between MMU and LJMU. I don't mind saying that. Tyrants, UClan, Northumbria. I know we haven't seen Northumbria play yet, but if we're going to move on to the next game, I feel pretty comfortable saying it's going to be LJMU or LJMU, and as it stands right now, it's looking a bit LJMU. Manchester Tyrants, who I had to win the division again, it's week 2, but 50-14 for the UClan Rams. Oh,
getting 50 on your head in your first game of the season,
especially for a team who's just come up as well. And I know that it's a bit different to like say someone else.
What is he doing?
Someone else coming up versus the UClan Rams, who like obviously have now. You can tell that there's a level of bought-inness with the UClan Rams coming up, but that's a big score, and I think that Northern one is going to be absolutely amazing to the point where, I'm willing to announce it now, ladies and gentlemen. I'm willing to announce it now. December 8th. I got seduced by the fixture, ladies and gentlemen. And
December 8th.
Or is it 9th?
8th is 8th.
Is it 8th? Yeah, I got seduced by the fixture. So I've spoken to Coach Bloomfield up in UClan, and the 3-hour journey to be Preston will be made, so we can I can go and live stream UClan versus Northumbria, because I need that in my life. I've got an overwhelming need for that game, and I can't wait for that one.
Is there a way for you to do the game without having to set foot in Preston?
No, they don't have they don't have the ELF thing where like I can just do it from my shed. One day I'll sit in this exact shed and I'll be able to do Uniball games.
That is still the greatest comment I've seen on an Instagram post. Is this man doing it from his shed? Yes, he is.
Yeah, I am doing it from my shed. Literally, this sat exactly where I'm sat right now. But yeah, Northumbria take on Manchester this week. And, I think if Northumbria can sort of echo the score of, UClan, that showdown is going to be great. But obviously, the Tyrants is still a pretty decent side. So,
can you put it down to first game jitters, new head coach?
who's making that noise? Thank you. I mean, you definitely can do. I mean, obviously, you've got to look at like who UClan have brought in. They've brought in a lot of more players with experience, but 50 to 14 still just major, absolutely major on a contender like Manchester. But again, it's week 2. We're going to say that after everything we say. I think it's week 2. So if we're going to move on to D2, the South. Do you want to move? Do you want to talk about 6-2? So Brighton do manage to, I guess you could say, get the upset slightly. Reading, obviously, if you saw, they had a big squad, but it was a very
How many did they have?
I don't
that squad
know.
Looked absolutely massive.
Huge, absolutely massive. Reading just could not get anything going on the ground.
I'll be honest, that game looked like absolute chaos. Every time I put it on, there was something happening. But as in, there was a fumble, there was a pit. Like, it was just something happening.
Again,
constantly.
it's like SJ. You can speak from experience. Me and Kwame have both played on that Reading field before, and it's not that it's a mud bowl, because it wasn't there, but like it's very, very slick. I don't know why that grass just makes everything so slippery as opposed to some other games you see played on grass. But I think Brighton had 5 turnovers. I think 4 of them were fumbles, but Reading just weren't able to capitalize on them. I think I know Reading definitely had an interception. And it's a shame, because the game, I think, could have been, a bit closer, but there was about a 65-yard fumble recovery by Doborn, who's one of the D tackles for Reading, but he got called back.
That was quality.
Got called back for a block in the back for Reading, which was was a shame, because that would have really spiced that game up. But David Julius for Brighton, who's their running back, was he won them that game. Which the defense was absolutely phenomenal, but the opportunities that Julius was able to set up for Brighton to be able to take a long shot and then get the 6 points that they needed to eventually win the game. All like
you two will know more than me, but
true.
Have Reading fair. But have Reading ever, like, for a prolonged period of time, have they ever had a decent offense? Because as far as I remember, they've never been able to score points, and I say it because it was the same with the Sharks, and like we could never get out of that rut of not being able to score points for year after year after year, not just week by week, and then.
My memory of them having, whenever we've been in the division with them, is that they've struggled to score points.
Mm.
I don't know. I'm fairly certain it's a different OC this year.
That's it.
Wrong.
They have got like fairly big coaching staff as well down there, as well. But again, it's week 2. The score's pretty close, but again,
there it is.
I know, but it's like I should have named the show that. It is only week 2. Like the Southern one is still, for me, like it's those 3 teams at the top, and obviously none of them played this week. We'll see Hearts taking on Brighton and Brunel at Reading this week, so we'll get to see our first look at both Brunel and the Hurricanes, which I think will be very, very interesting. So we're going to move on to D2 just in terms of our review here. I know that you two may not be interested, but I'm surprised by this. Plymouth 19, the UE Bullets 2s 16. Now that game did come down to the wire. I do know that, and the Bullets managed to get that game fairly close towards the end, but. It's for me, like, I really thought that Southwest 2 was going to be going the way of the Bullets 2s. They just seem like the strongest side. But again, I think it may be a case of just looking too much on social media to be able to really say that. But Plymouth have come out there and they've put themselves in a great spot, because, as far as I'm concerned, with that Aberystwyth Worcester score, I don't know how much that tells me about Worcester, but I think it tells me a fair bit about Aberystwyth. 14-3 on a Royals team that has not been, particularly fantastic over the last few years, and especially considering how, decent Aberystwyth were last year. Obviously, getting to that last game of the season, still with a chance at promotion. For me, I think Plymouth really have set themselves up as the team that could potentially steal it. And
it's been a long time since Plymouth have been in this spot.
Yeah, like they are now the top dogs. Obviously, no one coming down into the Southwest 2 really does open the door, especially when you consider that Swansea came down, bounced straight back up. Year prior to that, Bath came down, bounced straight back up. So we're going to obviously see someone who hasn't been in D1 for a hot minute, but it really does beg the question: are Plymouth the team? And their game with Gloucestershire now, I think, is going to be one of the big ones. Obviously, can't count Aberystwyth out now, but I think with that game, I'd probably be leaning more towards Plymouth. So those are our reviews for the games we've picked out. Actually, no, we're going to go we're going to go into like a more specific one here. Southwest 1. We discussed last week that there was
Southeast 1.
Sorry, Southeast 1. That's exactly what I mean. Southeast 1. We said SJ did point out last week that like the two fixtures happening there really does give you a lay of the land in terms of who could potentially be winning that division, who could be going down. Obviously, Kent beating the UEA Pirates 14-8, and the UCL Emperors beating the Essex Blades 22-12. And the KCL Regents being the only team that haven't played yet.
Was I the only one that backed Kent?
Here we go. Oh, I love you, Gary. You're an absolute hero.
Here he comes.
Here we go. Get done, SJ. UEA Kent had 0-0 written all over it at halftime. We did hear that from Cam, who's got a friend there. Neither team wanted it. Kent came out in the second half and started moving the ball, but 2 interceptions saw them score twice. UEA made it interesting with about 4 minutes to go. The return on the 24th will be interesting. Thank you very much, Gary. He loaded that up. You could tell he was quick with it. Yeah, I think it's an interesting one. Like, if that scoreline was a bit bigger, I think you could obviously just not hand it over to Kent, but it's going to be an interesting one. I believe that was at. Actually, I'll be able to check on my graphic.
UEA, but that's every game between those two has been very close, hasn't it?
It's a very, very good rivalry that's developing here in Uniball between those two teams. But again, it's a great start for Kent. Obviously, like, we hope that there's no issues with walkovers or anything that could make things a little bit tricky, as we saw last year. UCL versus Essex. As you said, SJ, this is the best first game for UCL, who got promoted last year, 22-12 against a struggling Essex Blades side. It was at UEA last year. Kent won at UEA and UEA won at Kent. That's a good statistic, Gary. Okay.
Oh, we thought it was the other way around, didn't we?
Yeah. So the 24th of November will be that one. Pay attention to that one. But yeah, UCL beating Essex. That's an interesting one. It does now come down to it doesn't because it's week 2. That's an interesting one as well. I'm surprised about that scoreline. I thought it'd be a lot closer than that. I'm willing to sort of throw my hands up and say I think the Emperors are a better team than I thought they'd be. But I think the real test for them, because I don't quite think they'll be able to manage it against Kent or UEA, will be with KCL.
If they can beat KCL, they could sneak into playoffs.
This is what
that's the thing, isn't it?
This is what I mean.
4,
and
you can just about get in.
And it'll be a very, very interesting one. I'm interested to see. I'll keep my eyes peeled on the UCL Emperors more than I did, at the start of the season. Definitely, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure if KCL actually play this week. Let me check my graphic. Let me check my talk amongst yourselves. I don't think they do.
No, they don't.
No, they don't. It's Essex and UEA this week. So those are our sort of reviews done, unless you guys want to point out any other game. Obviously, Bournemouth shutting out Southampton 40-0. Impressive for Bournemouth. But, yeah. I'll get into that one day. maybe read the rankings because Bournemouth, you're not going to be very impressed with what I've said. Well, I could just say it now. It's me, innit? I think Bournemouth are going to have a very, very easy run in the Southwestern one. I know that they say that.
Oh, there it is. There's the clip.
I
There's
know.
the clip.
I know that they say that Bath are like, we've got to be wary of Bath. I'm sorry, but I look at the record for Bath last year, and I don't know if I can really say that. Hopefully we'll be able to do their Friday Night Lights game with the Killer Bees, where I will probably be assaulted.
I was going to say you've probably lost that one.
Yeah, probably, but I'm going to stand by it. But the thing is with Bath, they do have Lewis Munt back, I believe, which is a game changer for them. We can't deny that. But for me right now, I think Bournemouth have got an easy run. And, I like Swansea. Bristol and Southampton are good. And Bath are in the same. As far as I'm concerned, Bath, Southampton and Bristol are all on the same level. Swansea are a bit of an unknown. I think Bournemouth are going to absolutely not walk it, but it's going to be. I don't expect this to be just a one-time thing for a game that looks 40-0 ish. So that's. I don't know who I've annoyed there, but I feel like I've annoyed someone with that.
I think you've probably annoyed I think you somehow annoyed the entire division.
Yeah, I think I have done. Have that. We're being told to talk about the Div 2 Southeast. Obviously, Kingston, 22-0 over Greenwich. Great first effort from Kingston, shutting out Greenwich. Greenwich have always been a side that's been, they've
just chilling. They're chilling, mate.
They're chilling, but they can take points off people. Obviously, QMBL as well, getting against Canterbury. But I'd say a scoreline of 6-16 for QMBL over Canterbury. I'd say it's a bit of an improvement for the Chargers, if I'm completely honest. Like we've said that like their union with the East Kent Merricks is going to pay off this year. But I mean, I'd say that's a pretty good result for the Chargers going forward. But Kingston putting on a big performance with a shutout. So we're going to move on to
just quickly the Surrey score.
Oh yeah, go on then.
For as long as I have been in Uniball, I don't think Surrey have ever been capable of putting that many points on someone.
Yeah, it's going to be
That's what stood out to me from that one.
I think like that. That's why I think both me and you have picked Surrey to take the division. I think when it comes to probably Royal Holloway could potentially be in that sort of mix with them, but obviously we've not seen them play yet, and we've got to be nice about them. But Solent again, they're a team who are sort of, I'd say, a bit higher than Greenwich in that they've been almost there a few times. But Surrey just seems to be on a different level. Like Surrey do seem like they are, it's promotional death sort of at the minute for the Stingers. We've already spoken about the D2 Southwest, so we're not going to go back for that comment on Instagram. We've already spoken about it. So moving on to next week. Again, got some good games.
We just not. Did we talk about Scotland or just no one care?
Oh wow, he's actually
probably the latter, to be fair. But
we just completely forgot about Scotland.
We've forgotten about a whole country.
Okay. Ed Napier smashed the Aberdeen Bulls. I'm just happy to see that Aberdeen is still, about, because it's difficult to be a D2 side pulled up in that way. But again, they're still up. Obviously, we've seen by my beautiful red jersey in the background, which will stay up for the rest of the season because that was a £25 purchase, and very few people found it entertaining last week. So that is a UWS Pyros jersey that is hanging up, and it'll be there all season long. But 14-0 the score, the Edinburgh Mavericks over the winners of the Scottish one last year in the Glasgow Uni Tigers. Obviously, we do know there was a pretty big injury in that game. So, again, we do hope that player is all right. But a good start for the Mavericks to be able to beat the defending Scottish one champions 14-0. I believe that Dylan is in the process of forming a piece of media in regards to some of the games that he has witnessed. So, do pardon us if we haven't quite got a handle of it. Actually, no. Let's go to the Dylan DMs quickly. Yeah,
Here we go.
So let's have a look here. I'm not sure if he wants me to. Okay, here we go. Edinburgh Glasgow kicked off with both teams showing why they were the top of the division last season. Defensively, great efforts from both teams coming in from both sides. However, the real story of the game was the Edinburgh defence. Despite losing their D end, Lorenz, who I still see the figure of occasionally whilst attempting to fall asleep at night, their D line and backers continued their dominating run from last year, crashing down the field and causing a number of fumbles. The peak of Edinburgh defence was managing to push Glasgow to a 4th and 50. Ouch. I think, from their own 15-yard line. The shutout closing the game against the great-looking Glasgow Tigers before I got to go to the pub in the freezing cold and watch the Dolphins lose. So thank you for that, Dylan.
There's a master's waiting for him at UWE with that sports journalism. Like, he's on the brink of a scholarship there.
He's going for that sports journalism. I was about to point to my sports journalism degree, but it's in the house. Unbelievable stuff. But yeah, it seemed to be that Edinburgh are looking pretty good. Obviously, we haven't seen Sterling play yet. They'll be playing this week. I'm going to say I'm fairly certain that that's true, but is that true? Yeah, it is. They're playing Edinburgh, so that'll be a great game, which we'll preview now. So I'm going to go through all of the games. Then we're going to preview a couple and then do our picks as per the format of the show. So in the National Premiership this week, the Durham Saints take on the Nottingham Gold and the Leeds Beckett Carnegie take on the UE Bullets. In the Northern Premiership, the Warwick Wolves and the NTU Renegades will be facing off, and that will be live streamed. In the Southern Prem, Portsmouth take on Exeter, Cardiff take on SGS. In the Scottish one, Aberdeen takes on Heriot Watt, Stirling take on Edinburgh. In the Northern one, Manchester Tyrants versus the Northumbrian Mustangs. In the Midlands and Yorkshire one, Cov Jets take on the Nottingham Green, and the Hallam Warriors face the Leicester Longhorns. In the Southern one, the debuting for this season anyway, the Hertfordshire Hurricanes take on the Brighton Panthers, and the Reading Knights take on the debuting for this season Brunel Burners. In the Southwest one, the Bristol Barracuda face off with the Bath Killer Bees, and the Swansea Titans take on the Southampton Stags. The Essex Blades take on the UEA Pirates. And in D2, the Sunderland Spartans are going to be taking on the Sheffield Sabres. In the Northwestern 2, the Kiel Crusaders take on the Lancaster Bombers, and the Staffordshire Stallions take on the Edgehill Vikings. In the Midlands 1, the ARU Siege versus the Lincoln Colonials, and the Cambridge Pythons versus the DMU Lions. Chichester Spitfires will take on Sussex Saxons. The UE Bullets 2s will take on Aberystwyth. The Plymouth Blitz will take on the Bath Spa Bulldogs, and the City Wolfpack that everyone loves will take on the Canterbury Christchurch Chargers. So starting with the top here, Durham versus Nottingham. Obviously, we can see by Jamie's name, we know how he's leaning. So go on.
Durham are winning the lot.
Okay. Do you want to give any reasoning for that, or are you just going to
I just firmly believe that the camaraderie that they have as a setup, and they were too good to have a pre-season training camp with the Sharks this year. So if they're not having one with the Sharks, then they've clearly upped the game, and they were up here last year anyway. And so I do firmly believe they're going the whole way.
I get the vibe that they're winning off the back of the spirit of friendship, is what.
And the linebacker from Texas A&M.
Yeah. Turn your comments back on. Unbelievable stuff. But
are they still off?
Probably. So, but it's going to be a great game. Like again, Durham are the last team to beat the Gold. The Gold have just, the Gold have got all the momentum in the world right now, and it's going to be a fantastic game. It's going to obviously give us a much better picture of the National Premiership now that all the teams will have played. But it's going to be a very, very interesting day out. We're going to obviously get into the picks a little bit later, but for that one, I hope it's live streamed. Someone in Durham, I hope so. But moving on to the game that will be live streamed in the Northern Premiership, the Warwick Wolves versus the NTU Renegades. Obviously, these two teams know each other very, very well from their time spent in the Midlands 1, with the last few games going the way of NTU. But Warwick, I think, have got a little bit of extra juice. I think it's going to be a good game of two teams that know each other pretty well.
Streaming.
Are they?
Yes.
Who? Where? Are they? Oh, we'll be live streaming.
A&E guy is immense. We will be. Is he doing the live stream? Like, is he the one
Mate, he could do it all. He could do it all.
He's got it's mic'd up.
I'll tell you what, that is absolutely fantastic, because that could be another Uniball game for the ages. Obviously, we just came off one. I think we've had one the first 2 weeks with Cardiff beating Brum and then Gold beating Bullets. Could we see another one?
I can't believe this. We're being fed. We're eating very well.
Oh,
National League.
But you know what?
Stuff.
But yeah, I still hate McRibs. Unbelievable stuff. Absolutely disgusting.
I've not had one just because of how bad everyone says it is.
Bro, don't get it. It's disgusting. Absolutely vile. In the Southern Premiership, Portsmouth and Exeter. I think that could be an interesting one. I think it's Portsmouth's chance to prove, and we haven't seen Exeter yet.
My faith in Exeter is dropped as the season has gone on, and I don't know how that's possible given they've not even played a game yet.
I was going to say, as the season's gone on, we're in week 2.
Are we? I didn't mention it. But I get what you mean.
No, we're not. It's week 3.
Well, yeah, technically we are in week 3 now.
In the Prem, it's week 3. No.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
But neither of these teams played in week 1, so I don't really know what your point is.
I don't know anymore.
But I think it'll be an interesting one. I can't. I was about to say I can't call that one, but I'm about to, because that's what picks are. So, damn, gutted for me. Yeah, I think it'll be an interesting one. I think Portsmouth is going to be able to look back and reflect on that SGS game to see whether or not it is, a Portsmouth success or, an SGS lessening sort of vibe there. In the what's that? Do we want to talk about Cardiff SGS, or do we think that'll be, both teams are 1-0
to win?
Someone will pick it, I'm sure.
ChatGPT definitely will.
ChatGPT definitely will, 100%. Yeah. So moving on to the Scottish one, Edinburgh versus Stirling. Stirling haven't played yet. Edinburgh obviously beating Glasgow, shutting them out.
Debut.
Going to be an interesting one, I think. Stirling, they've sort of got to come back with a vengeance, I think, for this season after not being able to take everything like many thought they would do last year. But I think the Mavericks, especially now they've beaten Glasgow, are the team that is going to be standing in their way. Yeah, I think that's about.
That's the thing with Scotland is I don't know enough on Scotland to really. I've never even seen a game live stream from Scotland
because they don't have Wi-Fi.
So moving on to D1. Yeah, D1. Manchester, Northumbria. Northumbria. Northumbria seem like to be like the powerhouse, or at least we think they are. Manchester coming off a loss to the UClan Rams. I think
have we ever hyped a D2 team quite like we have with Northumbria?
Well, I'll put it like this: they won our team of the year last year, so
and the Bullets didn't concede a point.
No. Right, we know this because there's like the Bullets just get their own award over here. Okay, it's like the Bullets are just the best at everything, right? Or they were. They were the best at everything, right? So it's everyone but the Bullets. Who do we like? Who do we think has put on a good performance? And it was Northumbria. So, and you were involved in the voting in that. So
I agree.
Grow up.
No, I agree. I'm just making the point that's how impressive they were last year, that we put them above a team that didn't concede a point.
No, I'm not getting into this argument in week 2. We can have this argument in like week 13. But I think that'll be a great game. Obviously, it's going to be able to see where the Northumbria Mustangs lie, because that we weren't able to get the U-Clan versus Northumbria game last year in the playoffs like we thought we would, but hey, we got it in D1 twice now. Hopefully we can have it. Hopefully it'll be live streamed. By hopefully I mean it will. So in terms of other ones around the league, we've obviously got the debut of both the Hertfordshire Hurricanes and the Brunel Burners, which I think could be interesting.
Good team,
Hertfordshire Hurricanes taking on Brighton. We know that Brighton have got some elements there that they can use, but again, because we haven't seen the Hurricanes yet, we don't really know what they've got to sort of combat Brighton at the minute. And Reading versus Brunel at Reading. It'd be interesting to see if Reading can bounce back slightly, but again, they are going up against a Brunel team that I think are potentially going to break the curse this year.
Oh, there we go. We're not now, are we?
Brilliant. No. I know you can't talk about. I know you can't talk about it, but I can still talk about it. So that's.
I'll talk about them.
Do you want to?
Not really much to say. We'll do the talking on Sunday.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, so to be fair, in D2 for me, like I'd argue it's probably the best game in D2 is probably ARU versus Lincoln this week. Lincoln, to be fair, both teams making their debut after the game was postponed between the Siege and the Pythons last week, but also the Sabres and the Bombers making their season debuts. Sabres against the Spartans and the Bombers against the Crusaders. But everything else sort of by the by. City Wolfpack also making their debut, which is fun, I guess. Big up City.
Has everyone played after this week?
I don't think so.
Oxford.
No. I was about to say Oxford.
I think it's everyone but Oxford.
I was about to say OBU haven't. I don't think OBU are playing this week, so it could just be an Oxford-based problem.
There's a countdown going on.
No.
I'm scared.
No, there's there's a lot in the northeastern and northwestern who haven't played yet because it's the first week of the northeastern and the northwestern as well. So gonna get into the picks and we'll say goodbye. So let me just get the names down. So what do we want in the National Premiership? So the Durham Saints versus the Nottingham Gold. Jamie, I'll put you down for Durham.
Yes, sir.
Give me the gold.
Give me the gold. I'm going to go with the gold as well.
What's our, are we doing a funky will this happen thing? No?
No, I don't think we can anymore.
Over under?
No, I think it might be too harsh, if I'm completely honest.
What, over under? Like, as in, it'd be 50 points between the pair of them.
Oh, I thought you meant for the next game.
No.
Yeah, go on then.
49.5 is the line.
Yeah, go on then.
I'm going over.
Over.
Okay.
Oh. No, I'm going under. Under. I'll take the under, please, sir.
Okay. I'm probably going to go with the under as well.
£5 on the under.
Yeah. So Leeds Beckett versus Uwe.
I'll take the over.
Yeah.
Just for one team.
Yeah. Not a problem at all. Uwe. So moving on.
Is this a betting ring that we're starting up?
No.
It's the only form of gambling that I'm allowed in this country, SJ. Don't say it too loud.
No, definitely not. The game will be live streamed by Sport Tank, so I'm not picking it. Warwick versus NTU.
Coward. Pick it.
Nope.
NTU.
Oh, NTU.
It's like I furrowed my brow there, which might give it away about which way I was leaning. So make of that what you will. Portsmouth versus Exeter.
Oh.
Exeter.
No, you know what? I'm going to Portsmouth.
Yep, so am I.
Good Leiden. Leiden's not going to be happy. This is being clipped as we speak.
Yep.
It's going to be a good week for me this week.
The thing is, though, is that Portsmouth also, very prone to clipping what we say. Cardiff versus SGS.
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 Why have we sat here and thought about that? This is ridiculous.
No,
This
see,
season is ridiculous.
see, I am tempted.
No, don't do it yourself. I like Cardiff, but come on, man.
Hang on, wait. Talk about the Falcons game. We've done it.
We've done
No,
it.
I'm just tempted by the power of social media. No, I'm gonna go. I'll go SGS, but I think it's going to be a close one.
He's gone.
Okay, mate.
National
Okay.
League has ruined everything that we thought about. Uniball.
It really has. We don't know anything anymore. So moving on to the Scottish one, the Aberdeen Bulls taking on the debuting Heriot Watt Wolverines.
I'm going Aberdeen.
Okay.
Aberdeen.
Are you both going Aberdeen?
I'm genuinely going Aberdeen.
Okie dokie. I'm not. I'm going to go Heriot Watt.
I don't remember Heriot really playing last year.
No.
I remember them losing every game apart from a botched game against Sterling that they somehow won.
Speaking of Sterling, they'll be taking on the Mavericks. Who have we got?
Sterling.
I'm going to go Edinburgh.
Edinburgh.
Edinburgh for SJ.
I think I've got Sterling to win it all, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, I was going to say you both do, don't you?
I've got Edinburgh.
All right, okay.
So moving on to the Northern one, the Manchester Tyrants taking on the Northumbria Mustangs. That was quick.
Northumbria, and they're going to score more points than UClan.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know about. Well, I think they'll certainly try. Midlands and Yorkshire one at the Coventry University Jets versus the Nottingham Green.
Nottingham Green.
Did you ever say on stream about the bet that you had pre-season about Coventry?
Who? Me?
You.
No. No.
Is now the time?
I don't remember what it was, so
I do.
I don't actually remember this.
I remember directly messaging.
Put the phone down.
Put the phone down.
Coventry Unibet. So I said, Teb said he'll make a bet with you that if you win a game this year, he'll do a hot tub stream.
No, I didn't say it. You said that. You said that. I didn't agree to doing that. So even if that happens, I'm not doing it.
I'm saying Coventry to lose and not score a point all season.
Okay. I don't know about that. I think they'll get someone like Longhorns. Maybe.
And I'll make the same bet with them I had last year, that if they win a game, I'll buy them a new set of game balls.
Hey, I don't know if you watch this Coventry Jets, but pretty good. Pretty good. Sheffield Hallam versus the Leicester Longhorns.
Sheffield Hallam.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Moving on to the Southern one, the Hertfordshire Hurricanes versus the Brighton Panthers. I'm going with the Hurricanes.
I'm going with Brighton.
Okay.
Very cool.
Yep. And then the Brunel Burners taking on the Reading Knights.
Brunel.
Yep.
Brunel.
Yeah. Okay.
I told you I'd pick my team every time.
So I'm also going to be picking Brunel for that one as well. Moving on to the Southwestern one, Bristol versus Bath. Bath and Swansea versus Southampton.
Swansea.
Yeah, I'm going to go with that as well. Keep the Titans train rolling. And in the Southeastern one, the Essex Blades and the UEA Pirates.
UEA.
Yep. Shiver me timbers.
Shiver me timbers, indeed. Unbelievable stuff. Moving on to D2, the Sunderland Spartans and the Sheffield Sabres. I'm going Sheffield.
Who's at home?
The Sabres. No, the Spartans, sorry.
Well, I'm still going to say Sheffield.
Yeah, thanks for wasting my time there, mate. What a waste of time that question was. In the Northwestern, Kiel Crusaders versus Lancaster Bombers. Lancaster. Yep. Okay. Moving on to
Sheffield from. Oh, it's not that far, to be fair.
The Staffordshire Stallions versus the Edge Hill Vikings. Edge Hill.
I'm going for Staffs.
Good for
Okay.
you, mate.
Unbelievable stuff. In the Midlands too, the ARU Siege and the Lincoln Colonials.
Lincoln.
I'm gonna go.
ARU.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by that one, mate. If I'm honest, I'm going to go with Lincoln. And then Cambridge versus DMU. I'm going to back the Pythons.
Yeah, Cambridge.
DMU.
DMU never recovered from that scandal, did they?
Not yet. I'm sure they will do.
Have you noticed there's a lot of teams that have had scandals and never recovered?
I'm trying to think of some more.
Coventry.
I don't remember.
Rainfire did.
So Chichester Spitfires versus the Sussex Saxons.
Sussex.
Yes.
Yeah. And
When
the
did Chichester last win? Someone, isn't it like it's like pre-COVID? It's
Who?
a really long streak.
Who?
Chichester.
Oh, I think it's between them and the Worcester Royals for winning a
It's
game.
like 3,000 days or no, that's not. That's like 10 years. There's no way it's that.
Yeah. I think I did the maths. And I think it was for teams that are still competing. I think it may be Worcester, but I'll go back and check that. Don't take that as gospel. UE Bullets 2s versus Aberystwyth.
The Taranai.
Versus Aberystwyth.
I'm going with 2s.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Aber.
You're going. Okay.
Jesus, have you guys just seen this? Sorry, hang on, sidetrack. NFL Academy are doing a scrimmage with Oxford Lancers.
Interesting.
Fair enough.
I don't know how well that will go for the
Joint
Lancers.
practice. It's joint practice.
Yeah, I'd argue that that's probably what that is. Interesting for the Lancers, but I'll give it to them. Better than having no preseason. I just worry that the NFL Academy are, the best American football players in the country, above everyone else. And I like the Lancers, but
Sorry, I've sidetracked us here.
I just good. I think people are expecting us to be a bit more excited about that, but I just don't want anyone to get hurt. I'll put it like that before the season starts. The Plymouth Blitz and the Bath Spa Bulldogs.
Plymouth.
Yeah, Plymouth all the way.
Who were they playing? Sorry, you glitched out.
Bath Spa Bulldogs.
I'll go Plymouth, yes.
Yep. And then the last one of the weekend, the City Wolfpack versus the Canterbury Christchurch Chargers.
The Wolfpack.
Yeah, let's go City.
No, I'm going to go with Canterbury. Can you believe that?
This is a man, right? This is a man that knows that he's first in the predictions, so he knows he can have a bit of a waffle.
Hey, man, I think they did quite well.
Playing it safe.
Leave me alone, man.
Are the Mud Dogs? Are they a banger in the league this year, or did they pull out?
No, they're not in it.
Pulled out.
No, I think it's.
What's the point? What's the point anymore?
Bradford, UWS, Winchester, Bangor, and I don't know if Huddersfield Hawks or Chester. I think Chester Legion is still about. I don't know about Huddersfield Hawks.
End the league now. Then, there's no point in us even having the show anymore if Bangor aren't about.
Bangor could be back. I wouldn't worry too much. You can still buy their merch on Football America, so I wouldn't worry. Just in case you wanted it. So
until we get a Mud Dogs merch, I'm not going to be happy.
You'll be waiting a while. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was the week 3 rundown. We will be back at a time between 7 and 8 next Monday. Obviously, tune in on Sunday for the Warwick Wolves versus the NTU Renegades in the Northern Prem. I've been Tebs, and that's also Jamie, and SJ is also here. So, ladies and gentlemen, we will see you next week. The rankings should be coming tomorrow, if you're so inclined to read them. That's it. We'll see you next week or on Sunday. I never know how to end these things.